How are you doing? How's it going? You good? You're good. Right, thanks for joining me in my kitchen today. Today I'm going to bake a pineapple ring of fire. This cake is taken from a Yotam Ottelenghi recipe and based on a traditional Mauritian dessert. I'm really looking forward to this. I haven't made it before. It sounds really yummy. The cake part is relatively straightforward. But first of all, we need to start with the tamarind, caramel and pineapple rings that will be coated in it. So first things first, grab a pineapple and let's prep it. We're going to peel and core the pineapple, then cut it into 5mm thick moons. I don't have a pineapple corer, but you can use a cookie cutter in a similar way. You'll see. So I have my pineapple rings and I've cleaned up my workspace a little. The next thing we need to do is prepare our tamarind. For this you need a block of tamarind. You should be able to find this in lots of good Asian and Oriental supermarkets. You need a block rather than the paste that a lot of normal supermarkets will sell. It can be a bit tricky to track down, but if you look in the Asian and Oriental supermarkets near you, you should be okay. To prepare it, you need to soak 50 grams of tamarind in 100 millilitres of boiling water for 15 minutes. I've already done this, and now I just need to pass it through a sieve into a bowl, and we'll use the paste to create our caramel. So we're just making sure that the various seeds and bits of stuff that we don't want in our paste, and we're just going to get rid of those. And we just want to have a nice paste that we can use later to put in our caramel for the tamarind flavour. Ingredients for the tamarind, caramel, pineapple rings. It's time to make the caramel. So get a large saute pan. It needs to be big enough to get those pineapple rings in. We're going to put this over a medium to high heat, and then we're going to add 200 grams of caster sugar, 60 millilitres of cold water. Yep, that's steaming away. We then need 1 teaspoon of vanilla paste, okay, and 1 teaspoon of peeled finely grated ginger. Okay, and we're going to let that cook, giving it a very occasional swirl so it goes a uniformly dark golden colour. And that's going to cook for about 15 minutes or so. So I'll join you in 15 minutes when we're going to add the tamarind and the pineapple rings. Golden there, and we've got our tamarind paste. We're just going to put that into our caramel. Yeah. So be careful, it will spit a little. Make sure you get all that lovely tamarind paste in. I'm just going to work it through a little bit. Okay. There's a lovely smell coming off this. Okay. So now that I'm getting this combined, be careful, it's very hot. So now that this is all sort of combined, we're going to grab our pineapple rings and we're going to dip them in onto our caramel. So try and get as many in. These are going to go on the bottom of a 23-inch tin. So I'm just going to let those cook for just a minute.
Just at the time.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna those. That should be okay. I've just got bits of odds and ends here, so I'm just going to quickly put them in. And then we're going to take this off to heat. And we should cook in there just a minute or so. And we're going to want to flip them over. This is not the best way to do it, but just so that they're nicely coated in the caramel. Make sure both sides are coated. Okay, there you have it. This should be our caramel coated pineapple rings. And we'll leave that to cool and we'll use that later. Pineapples. We're going to make the cake now. So first things first, you're going to want to get a 23cm spring form cake tin. You're going to want to grease and line it with baking paper. Alright, set this to the side for a minute and we're going to get our dry ingredients together. So in here I've got 225 grams of plain flour. To that I'm going to add 50 grams of desiccated coconut. Drop that in. I've got 2-star anise that I've ground up in a pestle and mortar. You could use a spice grinder as well. If you buy it shop bought, already pre-ground, only use about half a teaspoon of it. So I'm just going to add this in here. Make sure that's lovely. Perfect. So got that in there, and then we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. And then we're going to add half a teaspoon of hot chili flakes. Don't want it too spicy, so you just want a little bit of a kick. We want 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a pinch of salt. I'm using sea salt here, just a little pinch. Alright, we can set this aside as we get ready for our sort of wettish ingredients. So in a bowl, I'm using a stand mixer, so I'm just using the stand mixer bowl. You could also use an electric whisk. So we're taking 225 grams of unsalted butter, 225 grams of light brown sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. You could probably also use vanilla extract, maybe half a teaspoon. Okay, so what we're going to do is cream that all together. So on my stand mixer, I've got a creamer attachment. I'm going to add that on. I grab my bowl, put it there. So I have all my ingredients in my stand mixer. I'm now just going to cream them together. And just let that do its magic. So I creamed together the sugar and the butter and the vanilla bean paste, and that's looking lovely and fluffy now. So what we're going to want to do is switch to the paddle attachment. Lovely. And I've got 2 of the 4 eggs that we'll be using, and I'm going to add those to our mix. Lovely. And then we're going to add half of our dry mix as well. So just need to give the dry mix a little bit of a whisk. Just combine it. And we're just going to, as I say, add about half of that. Add half of that, and we're going to switch on the paddle attachment. And give it a good combine. So that's combined pretty well. So again, we want to get 2 more eggs, so you're using 4 eggs in total. We're going to add them. And we're going to add the rest of our dry ingredients and give it another good mix. Has come together, all totally mixed. So it's now time to make this cake. So what we're going to do, we've got our pineapple rings and caramel here, and we're going to put them on the base of our springform tin. So let's lift out the pineapple rings, and we're going to just sort of gently put them in a sort of circle around our tin, so that we've got a nice topping for our cake. I think I've used too little pineapple myself. That's okay. You can use more or less depending on what you like. You just want a nice pineapple topping for what will hopefully be your delicious ring of pineapple cake. And then once all the pineapple's out, you want to pour the caramel all over the obviously make sure you're doing this when it's a lot cooler. Okay, so we got our base, and now time to fill the cake tin with the batter. Just scoop it all out, and then you might want a offset spatula to make sure you can smooth it all out. Offset spatula tends to make it slightly easier, but you can also use a normal spatula. So just make sure it goes all around. I'd say get it into all the corners, but if it's a circle, not many corners. But just make sure it goes to all the edges. Get it kind of nice even as you can. As I say, an offset spatula will make this slightly easier. In fact, one of the best things I bought is an offset spatula. I didn't have one for years, and best thing I bought. That's it. Now, hopefully you've had your oven preheated to 180 degrees if you're using a fan, or 200 degrees if you're not using a fan. It's time to put it in. So put it on a baking tray to catch any caramel that might leak out, and then put it in the oven. And it's in for 50 minutes, and we'll check on it then. So we've taken the cake out of the oven. It's looking pretty good. So what we're going to do is get it onto a plate. We're going to let that over, and we're going to flip it, and then we're going to release it from its sarcophagus. Hopefully take this off. This off. There you go. Now, maybe not as much pineapple as could be. That's okay. So, there you go. That's looking pretty good. And we've got our caramel here. Had to heat it up a little bit. I'm going to pour that . Split it a little bit. Okay. Okay, so that's all right. So just a little bit of extra caramel on top. Then what we do, I've got some rum here. I'm going to pour about 50 millilitres. I've not done this before, so I don't know how this is going to work, if it's going to work. We've got a match. So we're going to take our rum and let's turn off the lights. So this might all go very wrong. Pour the rum over. Obviously, if you don't drink or anything like that, then you don't have to do this. And look at that. Look at that. There we go. This is our pineapple ring of fire.